All right, ladies and gentlemen, take a seat. Today, we are going to go ahead and get started on the recording first, and then I will check last night's homework. Okay? So, I want you to close your books, and I want you to have only your notes out. Close your books. Your books should not be open. This is one of the ideas that is the most confusing for students your age all year. More mistakes are made subtracting integers on your assignments and on your tests than any other mistake that students your age make. So I could argue that today's lesson is probably one of the most important you'll have all year. And while you're like, Mr. Bornheimer, we know how to add and subtract, I agree with you. However, it's very easy to make mistakes when the problems get more complicated. So this fundamental idea of subtracting integers is important. And it's not even so much regular subtraction as it is when it comes to subtracting negatives, or adding negatives, or subtracting objects that are double negative, or etc. Okay? So we're going to look at a bunch of examples today. All right, here we go. This is going to be example number 1. And we're just going to start with, there's going to probably be 6 or 7 examples today. You need to have all of them down. Example number 1, it's not terrible. Okay, and here's where it works. I want you to consider a number line. With 0 in the center. Okay, so this is a number line with 0 in the center. Now, let's say that I wanted to find the opposite of 3. What would that be? Negative 3. So you agree that 3 and negative 3 are opposites, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know that seems simple, but trust me, when we start using this idea in subtraction, it gets people are like, I don't understand. And I'm like, well, aren't they opposites? Yes. What don't you understand? You just answered it. I don't understand. That's usually where that goes. Okay, let's try this again. I'm just trying to make a very clear point here. 0. Okay, what is the opposite of negative 5? Braden.
5.
Yep, 5. Okay, so there we are. Okay, now let's use a number line for our next example, example number 2. Okay, and let's do this. Let's say that I want to represent on a number line. Okay, I want to represent on a number line 2 minus 3. Okay, how would I do that with a number line? What would be the first thing I do? Yeah, Finn?
Make a 0 in the middle.
Okay, I always make a 0 in the middle. I think that's a good, that way we have some sort of reference point. Okay, now what? Finn?
Am I still up?
Yeah.
Put the 1 and like 2 and like number it to 3 maybe. And then do it on the negative side too.
Okay, so I'd put a 1, 2, and 3 on the negative side.
And then
Okay, 1, 2, 3, got it.
And then you look at the 2 and then say, well, 3 spaces back.
Amaya, do I have to fix something here?
Yes.
What do I have to fix? Oh, I need negatives there. Yeah, hang on one second. Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Okay, this is in the positive direction. This is in the negative direction. I'm going to add those two things. By the way, number lines really only show us that we're just counting distance from 0. It's just that the positive and negative tell us which direction. So if I go positive direction, that just means to the right. Negative direction means negative, okay? We're not actually talking big and small numbers here. They're really opposites. It's hard to say big and small because, well, -3 isn't necessarily smaller than 3. It actually means an action. That just means that there are 3 less. Okay? It's hard to say. So when I'm trying to describe this 2 minus 3, we're going to go back to Finn and we're going to see if he can continue to take us down this path. So far, so good. All right, so what is the next thing I do?
You just go 3 in the negative way from 2.
Okay, from 2. So where do I have to start?
To positive 2.
Okay, I'm just going to start here at the positive 2. And I'm going to go how many spots?
3 spots.
Okay, 3 spots. So 1 space, 2 spaces, 3 spaces. Would you agree? Yeah? Yeah. I'm going to go 3 spaces. I'm subtracting 3. I'm going a distance of 3 backwards from 2. Okay? Okay. I could agree with that. I could definitely agree with that. Okay? Now, this is a distance of 3. Okay? It is a distance of 3. And in which direction did I go? I went left. I went left. So I went a distance, or I went in the negative direction 3 spaces. So if I had to represent, okay, going from 2 to -1, I would say I went -3. Does that make sense? I went -3 spaces. That's another way to say this. I went -3 spaces because I went negative in the direction of the negative 3 spaces. And what is my answer? Yep, -1. That's where I ended up. It's my destination. All right, so this is one way of thinking about subtraction. We're going in the negative direction, okay? We're going in the negative direction 3 spaces. Okay, there is, I'm going to go ahead and go to a new page now. Example, was this 3? Example number 3. Let's say that I have 7 minus 5, okay? Now, this seems simple enough, but I want you to think about it a different way. This is the same thing as 7, and if I were using words, what words could I use here? Yeah?
Take away.
Yeah, I love that. All right, 7, take away 5. Okay, how else could I say it? What's another word for subtraction? Yeah.
Subtracted from.
All right, so, but then that would have to be careful. We'd have to say 5 subtracted from 7. Okay, because the 5 is coming from 7. That seems a little weird because that's not the order the numbers are in, but that's the correct way to write that. What's another word for subtraction, though? What do we use sometimes when we're, yes? Minus, yeah. We could also say 7 minus 5. Okay, 7 minus 5. Well, there is actually another way to write this using addition. Believe it or not. When I take away 5, I'm moving in which direction? The negative direction or the positive direction? Stop, think about it before you answer. When I take away 5, am I moving in the negative direction on a number line or the positive direction? Amaya? Okay, let's think about that. Stop. When I take away 5, am I moving in the negative direction or the positive direction? Now, let's draw a number line to see what could be the answer. Let's say I'm starting at this star. If I take away 5, Am I going to move towards the negative or the positive? Amaya, what do you think? You said the first time positive. Do you agree with your first statement, or would you like to change it? Okay, that's okay. That's perfectly okay. Braden, what do you think?
I think the negative.
Okay, so when I take away 5, I need to move in the negative direction. That is correct. Okay, thank you, Amaya. Thank you, Braden. So I would move in this direction. Okay, so I'm going to move in the negative direction. And if I'm taking away 5, how many spaces am I going to move in that direction? Madeline, what do you think? If I'm going to take away 5, how many spaces? Yeah, 5 spaces. Okay? I'm going to take away 5. So I could take and say that the star is at 7. And let's say I wanted to add a negative 5 to it. Okay? Well, that negative 5 is the same thing as saying we're going to take away 5. We just said that. Look at the number line. I'm going to zoom in on this. Look at the number line. When I am taking away 5, okay, that's the same thing as negative 5. It's the number negative 5. I can either subtract 5 or I could have the number negative 5. Anyone not get that idea? I can subtract a positive number, or I can have just a negative number. Pause. I can subtract a positive 5. Okay. Subtract. So that's a subtraction symbol. A positive 5. So I can take away 5. Or I can have negative 5, where the little symbol means negative. Believe it or not, to say subtraction and to use this little negative symbol, they're like the same thing. You will see them interchanged a lot this year, especially in fractions and in geometry and in all kinds of stuff this year. Okay? So, let's go back. 7 plus a negative 5. This is the same thing as 7 minus 5. It's the exact same thing. 7 minus 5. These two are interchangeable. Okay, these two are interchangeable. I'm going to put a box around them. Okay. Would you say, Morgan, that in this box the number is positive or negative?
Negative.
It's negative. That is correct. And would you say, Dalton, that the number in this box is positive or negative?
Positive.
It's positive. That is correct. Okay? So if we were to describe this first statement, we would say it's like adding a what? Negative. And this bottom one is like subtracting a positive. So subtraction is actually like both. Subtraction is adding a negative, or it is subtracting a positive. Both of those statements actually hold true for subtraction. We are going to practice this 6 times. 6 times. Okay? So here we go. Off to the side. On your paper, I'm going to have you write the other way to write these problems. I'll do the first one with you. I'll do the first one with you. Okay. 6 minus 2. What is the other way to write 6 minus 2? Finn.
6 plus negative 2.
6 plus negative 2. That is correct. Both of those statements mean the same thing. One has addition, one has subtraction. Okay, next one. 4 plus negative 10. What's the other way to write that one, Jackson?
4 minus 10.
4 minus 10. Very good. Okay, I'm going to do 4. I'm going to do a couple more here. I'm going to write these down. 3 minus 2. 4 minus 7. 16 plus a negative 23. 14 plus a negative 3. Okay. I want you to write the other way to write these. It's okay. The other way to write these. Let's go back to 3 minus 2. What's the other way to write that one? Mr. Schrader?
3 plus negative 2.
3 plus a negative 2. Amaya, what about the next one? 4 plus a negative 7. Okay, what about this one? Jayla?
16 minus positive 23.
Excellent. And I love the fact that you said positive. 16 minus a positive 23, ladies and gentlemen. Positive. 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 Yes. Dalton, what about the last one? 14 minus 3. Positive 3. 14 minus a positive 3.
Positive.
I'll even put the little positive right there. Nice try. Not you. Shh. All right. So we have this idea of subtracting. Now let's do something a little different. Let's do something a little different, okay? We're going to have to go back to a number line, but let's look at an entirely different type of problem. I want you to take a moment and see if you can kind of figure out an answer to this one. Okay, here's my number line. Okay, and here we go. Negative 2 minus 4. Negative 2 minus 4. This is it. If we can get through this one, we're in good shape, okay? Negative 2 minus 4. All right, here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. When we look at it just like this, I can guarantee you will make mistakes, okay? Our brain doesn't do well when there's a negative out front and a negative in the middle. But I just spent a ton of time with you showing you how you could rewrite subtraction problems. And trust me that when you do that, your brain instantly picks up on the answer. Because our brains are conditioned to love addition and struggle with subtraction. Your brains love addition and struggle with subtraction. Your brain it doesn't have to work as hard for addition as it does for subtraction. So let's break this down. And I need to even draw this a little differently because this is actually supposed to be up here. It's a negative 2 minus 4. How can I rewrite this statement so that instead of a subtraction, it's a little different? Todd? What do you think? What did we do on the previous page? Okay, we changed it to an addition symbol, so I had a negative 2 plus, but then what did I have to do, Todd? I make that 4 negative. This works. Anytime I change subtraction to addition with a negative, okay? Now, I look at this and my brain goes, okay. I look at this and I think, oh, well, that seems pretty easy. What's the answer?
Isn't it 2?
No.
Like,
Negative 2 plus negative 4. What's 2 plus 4?
6.
It's negative 6.
Oh, I'm thinking of like, I was thinking of if you have a negative, and then since, okay, I'm thinking of the wrong thing.
We did this last year.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm thinking of.
Yes.
something different.
It's negative times negative.
I was thinking of the way when you like add a negative, it goes up instead of.
No. All right, let's do this on a number line.
Oh.
Number line. I'm going to start with the number that comes first. So here's my 0. Here's my negative 2. Okay, if I am going to subtract 4, which is the same as moving in the negative direction 4 times, am I going to go to your left or to your right? Mr. Yoder. I'm going to go to my left. How many spaces? 4 spaces. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. And Mr. Yoder, this would have been a negative 3, a negative 4, a negative 5, negative 6. The answer is negative 6. Hey, leave her alone. Okay, look up here. She's fine. Okay, so I went from negative 2, I went in the negative direction 4 spaces to negative 6. Okay, so notice that this answer would have a negative 6. This one, negative 2 plus negative 4, also is negative 6. It's the same way of writing the same problem, but it just looks different. Yeah, Maya. It doesn't have to be in the middle. I can put the 0 anywhere. Maya, it could look like this. The 0 could have started here, or here, or here. That's the beauty of a number line. I can start the 0 wherever, and then put my numbers around it. Let's look at another one. This was example number like 4 or 5. I've lost track at this point. Okay, let's go ahead and make this next one just example number 6 for our own purposes. I want you to come up with a number line representation of this problem, and I want you to come up with the answer. Negative 7 minus 13. And I really should put that negative up there. All right, here we go. If I was doing this with just a number line, I would put I'd put a dot on my number line at negative 7. And if I'm subtracting 13, I go in the negative direction here, 13 spaces. Now, I've done my number line in 2s, so I have to be careful about that. But I basically go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Negative 20. Okay, I went negative 13 spaces. I went in the negative direction 13 spaces from negative 7, my starting point. And it's my starting point because it's the first number in my problem. Now, I could have done this another way. I could have said, well, negative 7 plus a negative 13. That's another way to think about this problem. I take this negative, I make it an addition problem, and I just move or shift that minus sign up. Anytime you have addition, you literally add the numbers and keep the symbol. So negative 7 plus negative 13. 7 plus 13 is 20. The negative stays. Negative 20.
So basically, when it's a subtraction, it's basically added.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, yes. There is actually no such thing mathematically as subtraction. There isn't. It's actually a different way of looking at addition. This is called adding the opposite. That's the big idea here. Basically, you change any subtraction into adding. This being a positive number changes to a negative number. So subtracting a positive is same thing as adding a negative. We call this adding the opposite. This is a very famous mathematical idea, okay, surrounding the idea of subtraction. It's important to teach it this way because when you get into algebra, and especially next year, pre-algebra, this idea is crucial to understanding and moving things around in a problem, okay? So, in your homework, you're going to be asked to work with numbers like this. I'm not worried about the addition ones. However, I will suggest this for you, and we're about to end this lesson. When you are struggling with a problem, create a what? Create a number line. Absolutely. Create a number line. It doesn't take you very long, and it can really help you in figuring out where to go. Okay? All right. Your homework tonight. Yes. If you so choose. No, that's last night's homework. Page 41.
Should we maybe get a graph?
1 through 6 all. 8 through 24 the evens. 28 to 32 all. Would somebody please update my board?